Hey guys, this is Dale Weiss, and you're listening to the Sheriff Podcast. Woo!
Welcome, everybody, to an exclusive episode of The Sheriff. Guys, today I got one of my old pals on with me today. And I say that because when we were talking before the recording, we literally said that it's almost been about 15, 20 years since the last time we talked. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been looking up to this guy for a very long time. The theme in today's episode is going to be skill, toughness, and experience. And ladies and gentlemen, this guy is one of the nicest gentlemen. He's a great hockey player, and even more importantly, a huge character. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Clarke. How are you doing this evening?
Good, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. And as you can see, I got a smile from ear to ear. Me and you, buddy, we got history together. We've been through some experiences that a lot of hockey players don't really get to experience. And we're going to talk about that with the boxing and the league that we played in together. But Jay, we were just talking about it before the recording, so it's fresh in our minds. So I actually kind of want to go right back to that. We were talking about the IceWars, AJ Galante, Charlie Nama, AJ's dad, Mr. Galante, Jimmy, they're all involved, dude. We were talking about how things like this really bring our era together because it's kind of a forgotten era. What do you think about that, my friend?
100%. And again, thanks for having me on the show. I've watched it, and it's awesome. Obviously, you being a tough guy and doing a show like this, it's great to share our experiences on there. The Ice Wars is going to bring us together. We're a dying breed. You look at the NHL, the American League, East Coast League, even the League North America now. There's not, guys that fight and can play like we did, and the Joel Terrios and the Morasties and the Sugdens and all those guys, they're not there anymore in the hockey. And with this Ice War thing, talking to AJ and the guys involved with it, it sounds just like it's going to be a UFC, WWE hockey on the ice, which is, it's going to hit all the right areas of what we used to bring to the Verdun Auditorium and all the places that we played in, I think it's a great notoriety for the guys that are going to be involved with it, that it's going to be a great opportunity to get that aspect back into the fans, because I think the fans miss that.
Oh, 100%, dude. And yeah, I mean, we're on the exact same page. I agree with you. Now, I had heard about this thing that it was going to happen actually a few months back. There was like a little bit of chatter, right? And then recently, like 3 weeks ago, I started getting messages, and it's from like certain people that, were saying that, they were involved with the group that was starting it. Guys like Wayne Veery, Charlie Nama, and they're reaching out, seeing if I want to be involved. So now they're kind of like seeing like, do you got anything left? Do you think you might be interested in being a competitor? So I was very happy to be talked to about that, because it's always good to be wanted. But honestly, dude, I'd rather host the event and leave the fighting to the guys that are still in their prime. I know that you talked to AJ. What kind of things were you discussing? Like, are you going to have a role in this tournament? Are you going to try to make a comeback? What's going on with Jay Clarke?
There's no comeback for Jay Clarke. He's 49 years old now and has trouble getting out of bed now. So they're, like you said, all these guys that were in their prime. I'm with Wingman Sports, a company out of Newmarket. Lee Umansky's the owner. He's a good friend of mine, and I've been helping him out for the last 5-6 years, getting him business and things of that nature. And I've been speaking to AJ for a little over a year now about doing things together with the Trashers and the things like that. And this came up, and Brad Wingfield, who I played with and lived with in the old Western Pro League in Central Texas Stampede. I played with him his first year pro. He came down and stayed in contact, and obviously played in the League North American in Sherbrooke. I reached out to Brad, just talking about different things. He said, "Hey, give Charlie a call. He's looking for someone to do all of his apparel and jerseys and whatnot." And I gave Charlie a call, and we hit it off. And he says, "Here, call AJ." And I'm like, "Call AJ. AJ Galante right now is one of the hottest things on the planet. This guy's never going to call me back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no way." So sure enough, I call him, and he called back right away, text right away. And I've grown a relationship with AJ right now. Like we talk almost every other day or every day about the ideas for my thing with the company is going to be with the apparel and things that coming up with different shirts for fighters and different jerseys and things of that nature. And growing up, I was a huge wrestling fan, and AJ was too. So we were putting that together to come up with some just amazing ideas for shirts, hoodies, different style jerseys for different fighters. And again, with Wingman Sports being in a new market, it's we do a lot of junior teams in the States and Canada, pro teams. Great company, great guy Lee Umansky is, and so it's all fit together, which is it's perfect.
Awesome, buddy. I was just pulling your chain about what are you going to be doing with this. I've seen some of the things that are going to be going out there. I've even seen a little Jason Clarke design for the Sheriff Sean McMorrow type of jersey. So, I think it's really. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's what Wingman Sports do. Like they're sublimated jerseys that they do for different. We've done the Indigenous jerseys for the Maritimes League. We've done the old Reed jersey for a retirement out in Fredericton where he was born and raised, and they wore their jersey. So like I said, just a product that comes out of Wingman, and like I said, I'm so happy to be a part of a company that you can believe in and that they're going to have good product. You know what I mean? So like I said, it's when AJ saw the stuff that we did and the same as Charlie, it was a no-brainer for everyone to come together. And like I said, just over the moon excited for Wingman to be the official sponsor of the IceWars.
So it is officially the official sponsor?
We're officially the official supplier of the on ice jerseys, apparel, and things of that nature for the fighters. And like I said, AJ has some cool ideas. Like he is the most down-to-earth guy. Watching the Netflix show and stuff like that, what went on and what he could write off his name. Galante, I can do this. I'm bigger than the game. But he is so down-to-earth and his ideas are so like down-to-earth. It's he's a very good guy. And like I said, I look forward to meeting him one day. And I've talked to his dad on the phone as well. And, it's just from what you see on TV, it's a part of what they were. But talking to them on the phone, man, they're so down to earth and they're so into helping people, which is great.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. AJ was a special guest on the show as well. And right. We actually got him right when that documentary was released, man. And I had the exact same feeling, man. Let's try to get AJ Galante. Me and my brother-in-law, Danny Granger, my producer, were like, I'm not going to call back. He's like, he's trending. He's like, Netflix trending, and he did. And he said he was a fan of mine. And I couldn't believe it, Jay. Like, I'm sure he's a huge fan of yours. You know what I mean? And it was just so humbling.
Like talking about everything, like from wrestling to, because when I played in the East Coast League in Mobile, the Paul Bearer lived in Mobile, Alabama. And everyone knew I was a huge wrestling fan. So the general manager, Steve Chapman at the time, who was with St. Louis, now the president, he said, "Hey, I have a wrestler coming to practice. Do you want to meet him?" I'm like, yeah. I didn't know who it was. They wouldn't tell me who it was. So I'm doing warm-ups and just shooting the puck around in Mobile, Alabama. Then I see this figure appear where we come out onto the ice, and I'm like, that's the Paul Bearer. And I was like, wow. So I'll tell you a story. Like when I went off the ice, he had a bag for me, Mac, and it had T-shirts, DVDs, signed stuff, all from the Undertaker, from him, everything. No, so we created a bond that was, he passed away numerous years ago. We had a bond that I went to his house to eat. I went to wrestling shows with him.
Paul Bearer?
Paul Bearer, man. Yeah. Yeah. Like when I fought in Mobile, he'd hold up his hands like he was holding the urn, and I'd do this to him, and it would be like, the Undertaker on the ice. So we would do that. Man. He would come in the locker room after the games. He was larger than life. Like it was just one of those guys you saw on TV, and he wanted to meet me. Like it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Clarke. I'm like, whoa. Mr. Clarke, no, it's Mr. Paul Bearer. Like I couldn't even take the rest of the practice. So and he wore my jersey to the games. I still talk to his son Daniel on the phone a couple of times a year and see how he's doing. And like I say, Paul passed away, but it was one of those things where you grew up watching this guy. He's bigger in life. It's kind of like the same thing as AJ. Like he's big now. Like, you know, I mean, he doesn't have to talk to anybody, but Paul took time out to talk to us all. And like I said, he took me to two a show in New Orleans and the one in Mobile. I had backstage. I saw Triple H and all these people, and I'm like,
really,
wow, this is just incredible.
Man, I just like he was probably one of the most intense guys, though. Like when he would do that voice, like as a kid, I would get pumped up. He'd be like, "Oh, Jason Clarke, do you have any idea what the Undertaker is going to do to you?"
Jeff Pyle, who is still coaching in the East Coast in Gwinnett, he was our coach in Mobile, and he would allow Paul to come in when Paul wasn't on the road and we were playing at home. He would allow Paul to come into the room and do that at the start of the year to introduce the starting lineup, and we would just be so fired up. Oh yeah, Paul was a huge Mobile Mystic fan, and it was just a big hockey fan. And it's like I said, playing in Mobile, his hometown, he would whenever he was in town, man, he was at every game. Every game.
So, dude, this is making sense to me now, Jay, because I'm a stat guy. And, dude, going through your career is like such a treat for a stat guy because it's like, holy smokes, look what he did here. Jeez, look what he did over here. Oh, man, he went to this team. When you went to Mobile, it was a 2-year stint, I believe.
Yep.
And, dude, the numbers that you put up there, we're going to get to that on this timeline. What I want to do right now, Jay, because you're such a big character, and like I say this to all my bigger characters that I get on the show, man, I got to go to the beginnings, man. I need to find out about Coburg. I need to find out about the fam. So now you were born and raised in Coburg, right?
That's right. Coburg, Ontario. Played all my minor hockey there and between Port Hope and Baltimore, that little 30-minute area there. And I played house league up until Pee Wee. Everyone told me I could never play. I couldn't skate. I didn't have any hockey sense. I played like Tim Hortons hockey growing up all my life. And then it just took one coach, Dave Treadry, who was there for the Pee Wee, and we were a double B center. So he said, "Hey, do you want to come up?" Or I was a defenseman at the time. "Do you want to come up?" And we're missing a defenseman. Yeah, I'll come up and play a game. So I went up and played a game, and I got 2 goals the first game, and so they wanted me to stay. So I ended up finishing the year out playing double B Pee Wee, and then the next year Dave was coaching again. He wanted me to play again, so I ended up playing again, and we won the All Ontario double B.
No way.
We won the All Ontario Coburg. The years I played the Bantam and the Midget, we won the All Ontario 3 years in a row.
Wow.
So we had a good team, and like I said, it was a double B center, so we're playing like Ancaster and all these other places, not the big centers, but we're playing the centers like that. So, yeah, like I said, I was born and raised in Coburg, and I go back every summer to see my dad, my brother still live there. And it's a great town on Lake Ontario. Like I said, I'm sure you've been. It's the people are great, and it's a great community.
Yeah, I mean, it's well. Before we get into, I was gonna talk about the rink there, but before we get into that, so you mentioned your brother. So is it one sibling that you have?
Yeah, I have my brother Chris. Yes.
And how many years are you guys apart?
He's 5 years older than me, and I have a nephew. His name is Carter, and he plays for Junior C, the Port Hope Panthers right now. So.
Really?
Yeah, okay, he's not like me. He's a finesse guy. He's a skater and a scorer. He's not like his uncle.
Okay, so and what's your brother's name?
Chris.
Okay, yeah. So Chris, 5 years older.
Yeah.
Did he play hockey?
Can't even skate. He's never skated in his life or nothing. No, he's not. He's been my biggest supporter. He came to all the games in the O when I played and stuff like that. But no, he never played the game. Is
he a tough human being?
He is. He's got a big character. Like he works for the National Shunt Service in Coburg, and he has a big character. Like he's done very well for himself. And like I said, he's been my biggest fan. Like every time I played in the O, he came down, and when I played in the coast, wherever I played, he made sure to come down once or twice a year. And like I said, I have a special bond with my brother, and like I said, he was a big fan of mine.
So and thank you for sharing that, buddy. The reason kind of why I'm asking though, Clarky, is because what I'm kind of finding out about you really tough human beings, such as yourself, is usually in childhood, there's like an older sibling that was kind of beating up on you a little bit and toughened you up and kind of helped to mold that character. Like Ryan Vandenbush, perfect example.
Yeah.
He's got a brother that's like 7, 8 years younger. They'd always be fist fighting in the front yard. The mom would be screaming, and he was telling me about it. So do you believe that your brother kind of gave you an advantage over your friends because he was 5 years older, so much more developed, but then he would treat you as an equal, so you kind of had to,
Well, yeah, when playing hockey, like he didn't skate, but we'd be out in the pond in the back or the lake, whatever we could get our hands on. And like he would be tough with me, and I would play with his friends always. My friends.
Yes.
But I always wanted to play with my brother and hang out with my brother to be cool, and his buddies come over. So I did that, and it was funny. We were watching TV one day, and I don't know how it came, but my arm was on the coffee table, and he jumped in my arm and broke my arm, like by jumping like a wrestling move and broke it. And just like things like that. It made me tougher. And like I said, but I think it was more him encouraging me throughout, Bantam, Pee Wee, and all of my minor hockey. And then, like I said, coming to the O, I used to love my mom and dad and my brother come to the games, and I knew he was always proud of me. And he's always told me, sometimes I've been jealous of what you've done in my career, but it's like I tell him, you have a different type of career. You're doing good at what you're doing, and like I said, I was fortunate enough to be able to play a sport for a living.
Yeah, dude, I know. And the thing is some guys take that for granted. So it's pretty cool that you realize that like at such a young age, right? But what I would really like to get into now, buddy, is obviously the Niagara Falls Thunder. But even before that, I want to talk about. I'm assuming it was Tier 2 Junior A, the team that was in Lindsay, and even going even further back before Lindsay. But that was Tier 2 that you were playing.
It was actually the old Junior B League with Aurelia and all.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now listen, I gotta remind the listeners here that this is the era. We're talking the early 90s here, ladies and gentlemen. So this is probably the toughest era in hockey. Okay. Ontario junior leagues were full of takers if you wanted to look for a fight. You know what I mean? Trust me. So now you, my friend, what I was most impressed about is it looks like you got like a shot with Niagara, and the timing wasn't right. They probably wanted you to get some ice time, develop this, develop that. So what do, bro? You go to Lindsay and you absolutely terrorize the league. First of all, you had 58 points in 41 games, and you almost had 300 penalty minutes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll do what you say and some. Is that kind of the mindset that you had that year?
Like going to Niagara Falls, I was drafted in the third or fourth round in Niagara at the time, and coming from a double B center, I never trained. I never anything in the summertime. I just went to camp. So when I went to camp, George Burnett said, we're looking to do bench press. I don't even think I did two. Like I think it was 145 or 135. I think I did two of them. So I didn't know what hockey was about. I was coming from a double B center. I was 3 years earlier I was playing minor hockey like for the Tim Horton Timbits, same type of deal.
Yeah.
So going to the Niagara Falls campus, Brad May was there, Andy Bezo, Steve Steos, Dennis Maxwell, and those guys. Like I said, were in camp at the same time as me, and I just saw how hard they worked and what they did. And Brad May was a guy for me in camp because I liked Brad May. I knew who he was. I wanted to be like him, you know what I mean? And I talked to him, and I saw the effort that guy put in after practices, and even in training. He's on the bike, he's doing weights and all that. And I never did any of that. I didn't know what to do. So they said, we're going to send you down to Lindsay, go down there, work hard. And if we see that you're working hard, we'll bring you up. And I said, yeah, no problem. I went down there, started training, and lo and behold, I had a centerman named Jason Arnott that was, I ended up playing on his line. And my role was to let him. He came down from Wasaga Beach, and the coach at the time, Johnny Johnson, said, you have to protect this kid. This kid's a good player, but he's a little bit timid. And he came into Lindsay, and he was like, 6'3", 160 pounds, like a little scrawny runt guy. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? But man, we got going in practices and stuff like that. Could he fly? Could he shoot? So that was my job, was to protect Jason Arnott, so he could come into a player that to get drafted in the O like he did in Oshawa and stuff like that. And so that's what I did. And Arnie would just give me the puck, or I'd get Arnie the puck. And like I said, it'd go in. And like I said, we worked hard. Like Arnie and I pushed ourselves after practice to get better. And because I wanted to be an NHL player, and so did Arnie. You know, one of us won a Stanley Cup, one didn't. So I mean, it's you know, like I said, he pushed himself, and I pushed myself to become better. And like I said, we had a great year in Lindsay. Then, like I said, my career started off from there.
Right on, bro. It sure did, man. And like, I want to get this I guess off my chest first, because we're gonna talk about Niagara, then we're gonna jump right into pro. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Clarke from 1989 to 2012, 1,102 games, 269 goals, 446 assists, 715 points. 6,755 penalty minutes. Is that the correct number, Jason?
I believe so. It's around that. Yeah, I've looked a couple of times to see where it was in the rankings and stuff like that, and yeah.
Yeah, dude. So okay, so no, let's. Buddy, you're not getting left off that easy, bud. So first of all, I had a gentleman on my show a couple months ago that was like an AHL legend, Dennis Bonvie. Right? Yep. Most penalized player in AHL history. But Jay, for pro, you're the most penalized player, aren't you?
I believe I'm number one from what I've been told. And my
bro, I think you're number one by a couple hundred penalty minutes.
Yeah, that's like I said, I don't think I'm on the same level as Bonvie and Sugden and all those guys. Like I was told to be a fighter if I wanted to play the game of hockey. I had the size, and I had the willingness, and I wanted it. I wanted to be a player in hockey. And George Burnett, the coach and GM of Niagara Falls at the time, said, if you want to play hockey at any level, you're going to have to learn to fight. You're going to have to change your game, because coming from Cobra, you know, fighting, we had cages on. I didn't know how to fight. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I kind of trained myself in Niagara Falls and went to a boxing club a couple times a week just to get the feel of it. And like I said, I would fight anybody, you know, because I knew if I didn't, it would be my job. And I wanted to play the game of hockey so bad. I wanted to make it, you know. I was fortunate enough to go to Bruins camp in '93 and play 2 exhibition games against Hartford in New York. And I fought there. And it was like even though I didn't play, you know, in the NHL or after that, but I got the chance to put the Bruins jersey on against Hartford, against New York. And it was like a dream. Like I said, you know what? And after that, and it was fun because I was rooming with Dave Reed at the time. In Boston, who I talked to many times. He was the ex-GM of the Peterborough Petes, and I talked to him a couple of times, and it was just he was so down to earth with Joe Juneau there, and Ray Bork was there, Cam Neely, all great people. It was just such an experience that I would never forget the time. I think I was in camp for 4 or 5 weeks. I had very good showings, and then like I said, that was right after June, and that's when my pro career started.
Yeah, dude, your pro career sure did start. But before we get there, I have to ask you about the playoff run. Your first full year, but your second year with Niagara. Yeah. How far did you guys go that year?
We went to the finals of our division against the Sioux, and that was when the Sioux had you know, Teddy Nolan was obviously a great coach.
That was when Ted Nolan was the coach.
Yeah,
okay.
They had Brian Gowdy, they had Chris Simon, they had Colin Miller. Their goalie was Kluche, you know, and you talk about tough, you know, I mean, and going up to the Sioux in the old barn in the Sioux where the stands were on a slant on an
angle, yeah.
Oh, I mean, coming in there as an 18-year-old and you see Chris Simon across there, you see Brian Gowdy, and you see all these guys, you're like, oh God, please don't, you know, like, okay, let's go. We got to go out there and play, you know. I never fought them, you know, that wasn't my territory. So like I said, but it was just so intimidating, go up there, and that's who we ended up losing to. And obviously the Sioux went on a great run and I think they won 2 or 3 Memorial Cups during the Ted Nolan era.
Yeah, they were an incredible team and tough as nails, man.
And they had probably one of the best coaches in Teddy Nolan too. Like he was.
Oh yeah.
I've talked to Teddy outside of the Sioux and stuff and just a great human being, and he loved his players, and I think that's why, you know, the players love to play in the Sioux, because who really wanted to go to Sault Ste. Marie to play hockey? You know what I mean? There's so many other places you go, and then you think Ted Nolan. Ted Nolan's why they went there, and you look at the teams that he had that gelled there and the way they played. Like, it was scary. Like, I'm serious. It was like going into London with Barry Batomsky and all those guys in there. But you go into the Sioux, man, and it was, no, I didn't want to play. Like, it was just a feeling that you got there, and it was an era that you're like, oh my God, this isn't going to be good. You know what I mean? So, Yeah, it was back in those days, like you said, it was tough. Like there was Bombay was in North Bay. It was they had some tough boys, back in the. You had to grow up in a hurry.
Yeah, dude. Sault Ste. Marie was also for me probably the most intimidating place to go. And again, like I was in Sarnia, so it was like a 7-hour bus ride, and it was just I don't know, man. It was like you said, those stands were crooked. It was huge crowds. They were just screaming at us behind the bench. Like, dude, I know exactly what you're saying, man. So, all right, here we go, buddy. We're gonna start with the professional year, okay? So this is okay. So year one, just right away, I'm like, come on, man. Okay, so listen, I don't know how you were able to do some of this stuff, okay? But Charlotte Checkers, great spot. I almost played there a while back. I couldn't even imagine what it would have been like in the early 90s, though, going to Charlotte. Dude, you were there for 11 games. You had 100 penalty minutes.
Yeah.
Also,
how I got there was because of John Marks was in Boston's camp. He was one of the coaches, and Marks was coaching in the East Coast League. And when I got released, I was getting ready to go on the plane, and he called me and goes, "Hey, I want you to come down to Charlotte to play. It's the first year they ever had hockey down there in the brand new the rink, the big dome rink."
Oh, that was year one?
Year one. It was the first year they ever had hocky down there. So, like I was like, where the hell? North Carolina. I'm from
Charlotte.
What are you talking about? Charlotte, North Carolina. So I got in there, and I forget who I was driving with. The guy that played for the Kitchen Rangers. We went down and played there together. And and it came down to what happened. They had affiliated players with Boston, so they started sending players down that were under contract. So back in those days, it was if you had a contract, the guy that didn't, you're out. So
exactly.
Marksy said to me, where do you want to go? And it was the first year South Carolina was in the league with Rick Vye was the coach. And then up in Erie, Pennsylvania. So I said, well, Erie's close to my home. I'll go up to Erie. So I went up there and played, and, things didn't work out there. So I went into the Colonial League, as you can see, and played in Brantford with the Brantford Smoke.
Yes. Now, I had no idea about this Colonial League until I started this show. Because, man, I've had guys on the show that went through that league. Like, for example, like Steve Ludzig as a coach and a couple players. And it was very interesting, like the cities that were in the league, how it was kind of like central U.S. and Canada, like right in the middle there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I heard it was like Jason Payne, another guy that went through those, right? And he was on the show.
Well, you know what? Painter was my roommate in Verdun. I know very well Painter. And like I said, in those days, like in the Colonial League, you had Thunder Bay with Mel Engelstad, Vern Ray, in Muskegon, you had Jacques Mayotte, Jason Simon. Like there was men. Like, and I said, and I'm an 18-year-old guy. It's my first year. So I'm going there, and I go to Brantford. It's close to Coburg. Yeah, perfect. I moved back to Niagara Falls. I loved the falls when I was playing there. So I went back there, got an apartment, and ended up just commuting back and forth to Brantford. And like I said, we had Andy Bezo. We had it was tough. Like it wasn't like you fought and you went down on the ground. You're still getting the shit beat out of you. You know what I mean? You were still getting hammered on. The referees weren't coming in. It was you're fighting until it's over and get it out of you, then get in the box. Like it was a
slap shot.
Oh,
shot.
It was close. You know what I mean? Like some of the brawls we had, like we played in Syracuse and things of that nature. Going up to Muskegon and Flint. And it was sometimes we were fighting with the Zamboni on the ice. I think it was in Muskegon. They were flooding the ice after our pregame warm up there, and the Zamboni started coming off. And I forget who it was. I think it was maybe Jason Taylor took their goalie net and brought it down to our end, and it just started all hell broke loose. And now here I am, an 18-year-old kid. I'm going like, what? Who am I going to grab? And like I said, you got Jason Simon and all these guys that you know who they are. Back in the day when we played, you look at on the sheet. Okay, this guy's got 100, 200 minutes, 300 minutes, so you know who the guys are. And I was like, what have I got myself into? Like, this is incredible.
Yeah, dude, for sure. So, like, I just want to point out to the listeners, like, what's going on here with this Brantford Smoke. So you played 24 games there, buddy. You almost had a point per game. Yeah. And this is another thing I wanted to ask you, Jay. Did you play defense every season?
No, I played defense or forward. Yeah, it was In Brantford, I played forward. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're playing forward, you're playing the wing, and you're probably lined up against more tough guys than you would have been if you were playing D. That's for sure in that 100%, Colonial.
100%. Like I said, you come to a face-off, you look over, there's Jason Simon, there's Jacques Mayot. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, like this is like, and I said, I'm a kid. These guys are, they're, in their 30s and late 20s, and here I am, a 18, 19-year-old kid just out of junior, and, thinking that I'm full of piss and vinegar, I'll take on the world. But I took some lumps, but to learn, like I said, I was never the toughest guy to play, but, I was game. And, if someone ran my goalie or another player, I would always come in to help. And like I said, I've never claimed to be a heavyweight. I've never been claimed to be this, larger than life person, like fights all the time and stuff like that. And I did it because I had to do it. That's how I played. That's how I played 10 years.
Well, the other thing is, Jay, is like you have to give yourself more credit, bro. You're a skilled hockey player, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like where you were playing, like you're playing in the top groups and stuff. And obviously, the league that we played together, I think you're probably the best defenseman in the league, man. Right?
Well,
so like,
I really wanted. I didn't want to be a one-dimensional, and that comes back to George Burnett and Jr. He wanted me to be a tough guy and wanted me to play, and he would work with me after practice. Randy Hall was our assistant coach, and then my second year was Larry Marsden, who was in Oshawa. He was my coach my second year in Niagara, and these guys took time to work with me after practice. And Larry Marsden was great. He was probably one of the best fundamental coaches that I had. He would stay 20, 30 minutes after practice if I wanted to. I'd go up to, hey, Larry, can you do this? It wasn't even a question. He'd say, Clarke, what do you want to work on? Let's do this and that. And he wanted to get the best of the players. Like I said, he was a very good coach.
So now George Burnett's name's come up a couple times, yep. Right? And every time you say it, like I smile because George was my coach as well for the Oshawa Generals
yeah.
Last year in the OHL. And I'll tell you, man, at the time, I thought that I didn't like him, Clarke, at the time. Because he was just so like strict and like, you know what I mean? Like you would never guess that he was fond of toughness and fighting, just like you'd never guess that, right? But so we clashed a little bit. He was so hard on the curfews, man.
Yeah.
Some of us have a hard time staying in for curfew, man, right?
Yeah.
So we clashed a little bit. But I'm telling you, man, that guy was the reason why I signed my entry-level contract with Buffalo. He taught me how to play the game in just the half season in the OHL.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. That guy is probably, like I say, Randy Cunninghurst's my favorite coach. George Burnett is probably the coach that did the most for my development. Was it the same for you? Like,
I think, like I said, you go to the OHL to do that. You know what I mean? It depends the teacher that you have, like, the Bert Templetons and the people that were there when we were there. But, when I went there, and I was exactly the same way. I didn't know if George liked me, hated me, wanted to give me a hug or a kiss one day or whatever he wanted to do. And like I said, I was so like you could never read them. You know what I mean? And like, you know what I mean? It was just like, you get a penalty and he would just give you, like in the old barn in Niagara, we come out on the ice and our bench was right there, but our penalty box is right beside us. So when you got a penalty and he didn't like it, he gave you this look and you're like, oh shit. Like, what do you like? And you didn't know what was going on. So you're like, am I going to play another shift? Am I going to get traded or that? Like, you know what I mean? Like he always, and I think that's why he was such a good coach, because he wasn't your friend. You know what I mean? He was your coach, and he drew the line of, I'm your coach. I'm here to make you better. If you want to talk, we can talk. But if you don't want to, pull your line or do whatever it takes to play, there's another guy that's going to take your spot. So, you know what I mean? That's where I think you know what? And for him still to be coaching in Guelph right now says something. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah, man. That's a true statement, though. George Burnett, man, we got to that was a huge shout out that we just gave him. So shout out to George Burnett.
Georgie,
yeah, dude. So the other thing that I was pretty impressed about is just how you got to see the States, man. Like, we're talking Roanoke, Central Texas, Birmingham, San Angelo. I don't even know where that is. Where is that?
It's in the middle of the desert, my friend, in Texas.
In Texas?
Yeah.
Okay, then you got to go up to Anchorage in Alaska. It must have been an incredible experience.
You know what? I was in San Angelo, and I got a call from Walt Podubny, the old Leaf guy, and he was the coach and general manager up in Anchorage. And he said, "Hey, we're missing a player. Would you like to come up here?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm in 90-degree weather in San Antonio, and you want me to fly up to Anchorage, Alaska?" And I'm like,
to the North Pole?
Yeah. So he made me an offer. I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll pay X amount of dollars. We'll pay for all your housing. You get a car. Come up and play." So I'm like, "Wow." So I flew up there, and you know what? It was the most beautiful place I played. Like, it was cold. Don't get me wrong. It was minus 40, minus 50, but just the atmosphere, the people, that the rink was full every night. It was the old West Coast Hockey League. You know, we played San Diego, we played Long Beach, we played those, Fresno, and all those. So everyone coming to us, it was minus 50, and they're walking around with sandals down where they're playing. But the people, there was nothing to do there. On Friday nights, everyone came to see the game, or Saturday nights, they came to see it was packed. You couldn't get a ticket, and the atmosphere, it was like you went into practice, and this is one thing that really freaked me out. When you woke up, it was dark. You go into practice, it was dark, and you come outside for 15 minutes of daylight, then it's dark again. So it's a pretty depressive. It was always dark when I was there, because during the wintertime, they have their series where it's always nighttime or dark. So it was kind of freaky that way, where you come out of the rink and it's still dark, and it's only 11 o'clock in the afternoon or in the morning or 1 o'clock. But it was a great place to play. Like I said, the fans there were great. We had great teammates, and we all lived in a hotel. The owner had a hotel, and everyone had a room at the hotel, and that's how it worked.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Now, I've talked to a couple guys that have played there. Everyone just has nothing but incredible things to say about it. But you guys all mentioned one thing, and the crowd. Yeah, the passion of those fans, man. It was so that's the big ticket in town in Anchorage.
There's nothing else to do, man. That was it. Like, it was full. Like, it didn't matter if we're playing the worst place team or whatever. Like, it was packed. And they loved wherever we went. You want a free beer, you want a free dinner, you want this and that. They treated it like royalty, and that's why guys wanted to go play. Like, tell me, who really wanted to go play in Anchorage, Alaska, in the West Coast? When you can go to San Diego, Reno, and all these other places. And that was the reason why you got treated like gold there. It was a good place to play.
Right on, man. That's cool. And then of course, you go from Anchorage to Tallahassee and Pensacola.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Another ex-Leaf, Jeff Brubaker, called me. And Brew wanted me to come down there and play. He wanted a tough guy to come down and play. And sure enough, okay, let's go to Tallahassee, Florida. Let's take the Clarke wagon down there. So that's where I went.
Wow, bro. Now, okay, so Pensacola, though, you got to tell me about Pensacola, because my buddy got married there. I was his best man in his wedding. And when we went to that beach, just to like kind of on the off day, yeah, I couldn't believe how beautiful that place is, man. Everyone's got a beach house.
Yeah, all the players lived on the beach in Pensacola. My apartment was I opened the door and literally the beach was there. It was like the rink is right off the beach. Like, it was I finished the season off there getting traded from Tallahassee to Pensacola, and I ended up getting hurt and only played I think 5 or 6 games in Pensacola. But I ended up staying there for a little bit.
So you're there for a while.
It was just phenomenal. Like, you couldn't even. I don't know how you could play hockey. Like, I played in Tallahassee at Florida State there, so everyone loved the Seminoles football team. They were walking around, so we just blended in like whatever. But in Pensacola, you're a beach team. Everyone knew who you were, and it was like, wow. You go, like I said, you go to a restaurant, they give you a free, here's 50% off, here's that, it was, like I said, it was hard to play in Pensacola just because of the atmosphere. There was nobody in the games. Nobody came, I think it maybe had 1,000 people, but like I said, to go there was just absolutely insane.
That's really cool, dude. Okay, so here we go, bro. Now we're at Mobile. Now, there was only I wanted to talk about certain seasons because I just couldn't get over how remarkable it was, right? I'm so curious. I know the listeners are too. So now, your stint in Mobile. What I want to discuss is, it looks like, the story that you're telling about Paul Bear, I believe that these 2 years, there was a lot of things in your life that were working out. And what I want to discuss is how that affects a player. Like, the old saying, look good, feel good, play good, right?
Yeah.
That's really what it's all about. When, I don't know about girlfriends at the time, good roommates, this, that, the other. But when you have a good place to live, when you have a strong support system, be it a wife, girlfriend, or just buddies that are always helping, or a good roommate, you know what I mean? A good team, you get along with your coach. when all these things are happening, you get numbers like Jason Clarke did in Mobile. Okay, so let's go to the first year, 57 games, 56 points. Point per game, bro. Point per game. 373 penalty minutes, just to add to that. Little cherry on top. You know, connected with Paul Bear. Life was pretty good for you that first year, bro.
You know what? I had a coach that really believed in me, Jeff Pyle. He didn't want me to come in. First thing he said to me, he goes, I don't want you to fight. I want you to be a player. And, you know, going from Tallahassee, other places, that they wanted me to fight, then be a player. And Jeff said, you know, you have talent. I've seen you play because I played against him, obviously. And he says, I want you to come here and be a player. And I don't want you to be a fighter. If you fight, you fight, but fight on your terms and not on my terms or anyone else's terms. And you know what? The one thing that really stuck in my mind about Jeff is that he said, I will never, ever ask you to fight for me. If you want to fight, you fight because it's for your teammate. You fight because it's for something in the game that's going to change the dynamic of the game. But don't ever fight because I tell you to or anyone else tells you to. And he put me on the second line with Jason Elders, who was probably one of the prolific goal scorers in the East Coast League at the time. And we hit it off. Like, I think that's why I ended up, you know, loving being a complete player in Mobiles, because one, I had a coach that wanted me to play the game, and he put me with guys that I could succeed with. You know what I mean? Like, I knew I didn't have to fight. I had to get in there and bang and stuff like that and things of that nature. But I knew I didn't. I like playing in the Colonial League. I knew I had to fight every night. In Tallahassee with Brubaker, I knew I had to fight every night. But I went there. It was like I lost 40 pounds and I lost 3 feet. I didn't have to be the Superman everybody wanted me to be. I wanted to play the game. And when, you know, I just clicked with Jason Elders and Bobby Stewart was our centerman, and it just rolled off. And like I said, I was never asked to do anything I didn't want to in Mobile for the first time in my career. And I think, you know, I still talk to Jeff Pyle, and our general manager was Steve Chapman at the time, who's with the president of the St. Louis Blues now. And, you know, they wanted us to be a hockey team, and that's why we were successful in a market like Mobile. Like, with Mardi Gras there and everything, you know, everything there, it was larger than life, and Paul Bear and all the other things that came along with it. It was, you're right. It came at a time in my career where I needed that gelling to be a player, because I was starting to lose my, I was starting to get headaches. I was starting to, you know, having nosebleeds. I was starting this and that, and, you know, things of that nature. And then, you know, you run into the problems with the painkillers and the stuff like that to get by at the next game. And that never happened in Mobile. It was for the first time I was myself and was able to play the game. And I take my hat off to my line mates and the coaching staff and the whole Mobile Mystic for making me the player that I wanted to be.
Yeah, man, that's a beautiful thing. Oh. So, okay, so this was another season where you were playing on the wing, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and okay, so now the second year when you came in, was it like, okay, this is what I want to get at. The first year, did you have a designated tough guy? Like was there a designated tough guy on the fourth line?
No.
Do you remember?
No.
Okay, so this was a team toughness by committee?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. And I see the second year, you guys made quite a good run in the playoffs. How far did you go? Was it second or third round?
We went to the third round and we lost out to South Carolina Stingrays. They had Rob Buchanan there, a bunch of Jared Bednar, who's now the coach of Colorado, was there. They had a great team, and like I said, we had a great team with Chad Albin, who went on to play for Dallas Stars, and things of that nature. We had a good team, and like I said, it was all because we didn't have, like other teams did have a designated one or two guys to fight on the fourth line, but Jeff Pyle wanted to play four lines, and we didn't have that guy. We had tough guys that could play, and that's why we did the distance that we did because of that.
Wow, dude. And that's pretty impressive, because that probably was like, he was probably an innovator of that at the time, because that's when like everybody had a guy, most teams had a guy that only got the one or two shifts that was just sitting there, right?
Most teams in the East Coast League at that time had their fourth line was three fighters.
Three fighters, but one of them wasn't really a player, kind of, though. Like, it was kind of like that. You know,
and like I said, Jeff didn't believe in that. Jeff wanted tough guys. Yeah, you want to be tough, but you got to play. And that's what he told me. He goes, if you want to play on my team, you have to be tough, but you got to play the game. Because if I need you on a power play, if I need you on a penalty kill, if I need you on a 4-on-4, I want to be able to trust you. And he installed trust to all of us. You know, Hugh Gervais was another guy that was a tough guy that played another winger, played for, I think he played for Hershey and all that in the American League. And he was another tough guy that played on the wing with us, and he could fight, boy, and he could score. So there we have two guys. You know what? We can play any situation. So now, you know, not taking anything against Roger Maxwell, but Roger was a fourth line guy in for the Gators at the time in Louisiana, and that was Roger's job, to be the tough guy in the fourth line. So you knew when he was coming out to fight, he couldn't play. He didn't play a regular shift. So, you know, we were just like, you know, why are we going to fight you? For the first time in my career, I was actually saying to him, like, I can't fight you. You don't play. Like, you're irrelevant to this game. Whereas before, I'd be like, yeah, okay, let's go. You know, it's go time. But it was installed in us that, you know what, play the game, win the game. You know what I mean? And that's, like I said, and back in you're right, back in the 90s when I played in the East Coast League, boy, there was tough guys. Like Roger Maxwell was coming in his prime. He was a big boy, and he was tough.
Yeah.
You know, it was, like I said, it was a different ball game back then.
Oh, 100% different ball game. So now, another thing that I really appreciated seeing with you, bro, just the way that your career went, is that guys that have the dream to play in the NHL, I did, you did, we all did, right?
Yep.
So we get out of junior, you know, for the guys that were lucky enough to get drafted and be on like entry levels and all that kind of stuff, that's great. Everyone else, same level, AHL, East Coast, Central League, whatever. So we're all grinding it out. We're all doing the buses. We're doing our tour of the states. We get to see everything. We're gaining experience. We're improving as hockey players. But then there becomes a time where it's kind of like, okay, so what do I have in front of me here? Am I ready to see something else? Or am I going to keep going, doing what I'm doing right now? And for me and you, bro, it was the same. We had done our time in the States. We were like, okay, do I want to do another year? I've done this for the past, you know, several years. I'm ready to see something different, right? Over the pond on the other side, right? So now what I want to talk about with you is, how were you recruited to go to the UK? You went to Nottingham Panthers.
Yeah, you know, I was my mom was born in England. So I have a dual citizenship in my passport. So I don't know how it came about, but I think I was after the year in Fort Worth, and I had always thought about going to play that. The year before, I was talking to Chris McSorley, who was a coach in London, about going over there and playing for the London team, and I wasn't ready. And then, you know, something just clicked on me, and I said, you know what, I have the stamp, you know, and I can go over there as a non-import. Okay, I'll see if I can get my buddy Jason Elders involved. So I talked to LD, and I said, let's send out some feelers to see if it is in there. So I sent a fax to Paul Adey at the time, who was a coach in Nottingham, and I got a call back that night. He says, yeah, he goes, I'll take both of you. Okay, so I called LD, here's the offer. He goes, yeah, let's do it. So we signed it, and off I went there. And I didn't know anybody signed, but Paul said, you know, we have probably the toughest team to ever play in England. And I'm like, and he goes, I'm not going to tell you who I've signed, but you'll see when you get here. He goes, you're not going to be alone. He goes, I know you can fight and you can play, but we have probably the toughest team that England's ever assembled. So I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm like, who do we got here? So I get on the plane, and me and Ellie are in Dallas. We fly from Dallas to Toronto, then Toronto to Nottingham, to London, and we're driving. And Ellie's like, who do you think they got? I said, I have no idea. Like, I didn't know at the time they were signing ex-NHL tough guys. I saw Paul Cruz was in Belfast and things of that nature. So I'm like, okay, there's some tough guys. So we get into Nottingham, get into our apartments, and we had practice next morning. So I go in there. First person I run to, Dodie Wood.
No way.
Like, wow. Dodie Wood, San Jose Shark. Yeah, okay, tough. I go sit in my cell, and Barry Nightcar comes out of the washroom. Hey, Barry Nightcar, nice to meet you. I'm like, okay, wow, here we go. Then we got Jim Peck was there. Obviously, you know, NHLer with Pittsburgh, the defenseman, Jim Peck. We had Brian Thompson, Florida Panthers, and tough defenseman. And like, holy Christ, we had Lee Ginman. We had so many guys, and John Purvis, obviously probably one of the biggest American League players to play in Utah, and just an amazing team. Like, I walked in, I'm like, Dodie Wood I knew who he was, man. I knew that he was a tough guy in San Jose, Kansas City in the eye, and everybody knows Dodie. And come to around 3 weeks in the season, he comes up to me, he goes, hey, I want you to come live with me. I live right by the rink, come live with me. Because I was living, 20 minutes from the rink. It was far. And so I ended up staying with Dodie Wood for the whole year. And Dodie and I still talk probably 2 to 3 times a week. Still to this day, we're great friends. And like I said, he was one of my guys I looked up to. Like, he's tough. Like, Dodie fought the Proberts, he fought the Domies, he fought them all. And he's not a big guy, Dodie, you know. And like I said, he helped me out a lot when I was in England, as a person, as a player. And like I said, just, you know, his I don't give a shit attitude is what I like the most. I'm 5'10", 190 pounds, and I'm gonna fight whoever comes in front of me. And Paul Cruz used to chase me around to fight me, and I was so nervous to fight him. So it was probably 3 or 4 games left in the season, and we were playing Paul Cruz and Belfast in Nottingham, sold out game. And I went to Dodie, I'm going to fight Paul Cruz tonight. He goes, get him. Don't think twice about it. Don't be nervous. Throw the first punch. Go get him. And he goes, tell him in warm-up you're going to fight him. I'm like, what? He goes, tell him in warm-up you're going to fight him. So everybody knew that I was getting pumped up. I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to fight Paul Cruz. I've seen this guy in Calgary. I'm going to do it. So warm-up, I'm skating around, and he's always checking me. When we played Nottingham, Belfast, always checking me. And after the whistle, cross-check me, doing everything. Come on, let's go. And I'm like, I don't think I'm on this guy's level. Like, I've seen this guy fight in the NHL, man. He's legit. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm a middleweight guy.
He was with Buffalo for a while, right?
Yeah,
Cruz?
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, so in warm-up, I'm skating around. He looks at me. I said, hey, we're going tonight. And he stopped. What? First shift, we're going. I said, tell your coach to start you. I'm starting. Yeah. So I'm shitting bricks in the room. Like, I'm literally just staring. And I remember them coming over and Paul Ady said, do you really want to do this? I said, I have to. I got to do it. So Dodie's right. Fucking right. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. Yeah. So I know the guys are all around me. Okay, go do it. So first shift, sure enough, he didn't want to go off the draw. He said, play a little bit. I said, yeah, okay. So I was still nervous, hell, skating around. I didn't know where the puck was. And then it came through the center, and, you know, obviously the big ice surface is over in England. And he came through the center, and I didn't even know if he wanted to fight. I just dropped my gloves. I said, come on, let's go. And we went, and he hit me a couple of good times, but I hung in there with him. And I was impressed with myself that you know, like I said, Cruz was a tough guy. He was a legit guy in the NHL.
Legit NHL tough guy.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? I guess that's my claim to fame, fighting him and fighting Donald Brashear. I guess it was the two things. So.
Yeah, dude. 100%. And it's like, okay, so before we leave England, though, so, like, how impressed were you when you went over there? Because, like, I mean, this was the time that this was 2002, 2003. So this is before they were the EIHL. Like it was the Super League, I think they called it.
Yeah, Super League.
Yeah. Okay. And so I know the history because I played the 2 seasons over there, but, you know, what I was told when I got there, which was 2009, I was told that the league, like the ice hockey in general, it started off really strong. It was going up, but then it came down a bit for some years. But I believe when you were there, it was still up, wasn't it? Like things were popping.
When I was there, you didn't have to have any Brits on your team. So that was you got guys.
No way.
Yeah, it was. You didn't have to have Brits.
Unlimited imports.
It was, I think it was 3 or 4 years afterwards I left, or maybe 2, that you had to have like 3 imports on your roster at the time. But when I played there, we didn't have one guy that was from England. Not one guy was. We had guys with passports like myself that had the British stamps in the thing, but we didn't have any legit guys from England or Ireland or anywhere playing with Scotland playing on our team. So it was legit guys, and like I said, when they brought in that rule. Like, it was good hockey. Like, it was fast. And my first couple of weeks, I was struggling. Like, I was like, this is the big ice surface. And, like, the guys are big. And like I said, you know, it was a big change for me to go over there and play there. And like I said, I ended up having a good season playing with Jason Ehlers again and Greg Haddon. And like I said, it was a great experience.
Yeah, dude, great experience. So, okay, man. So that's a game changer. I wasn't aware of that because when I was in the league, there was 10 imports on every team.
Yeah.
So you had about 2 lines and 4D or 2 lines, 3D, and a goalie worth of mostly Canadian and American players, right? That were like AHL East Coast caliber. Yeah. Okay. So when you played, it was all imports from North America.
Well, I'll tell you a little story. When we were in the Super League, they had the I think it was the Elite League below us. Cardiff was playing it at that time. And they had all Brits, and we beat them 17-0. Yeah. So, and then the next night we were supposed to play Guildford, and they're like, no, don't worry about coming here. We played them. It was just because they had their Brits on their team, and they thought they were good Brits. But then, like I said, we had guys NHL and everything on. Our goalie was a super stud from Sweden, and like good luck scoring on them. And like we ran the score up, and then Paul said, okay, it's enough. It's 17-0. It's enough.
Yeah, dude, because that's the thing, man. Like, ice hockey has come so far in Britain. Like, dude, like some of the players now, like especially that the top tier teams get, like the Belfast, Nottingham, Sheffield, Cardiff, dude. There's some really good players, guys like Colin Shields, David Clarke, like really, really Stephen Murphy, the goalie that I played with. Like these guys could have came over. Colin Shields did come over and played in the Coats for a little bit, I think. But yeah, dude, they've come a long way, man. They're getting close to qualifying for world championships, all that kind of stuff.
The team Great Britain and stuff like that. Like when I was going to go play for them, but then I came back to play in the League North American because I had my status to play over there. And like I said, some of the rinks we practiced in were like, what the, like the center we played in Nottingham was phenomenal. Like grade A NHL locker room. It was incredible. Some of the practice rinks we went to were like, where they used to play, oh my God, no, it was like steel cage and stuff like that, and like in the back there was no glass, and like I said, hockey in England's come so far since we played there, and like I said, it's great to see.
Yeah, no, it is great to see, man. The league is very, very healthy right now. Great players, and there's great action going on there. So, dude, now this is the part of the show that like obviously we're going to talk about Quebec, but it's so complex because me and you we're both English speaking. Now, are you bilingual though, or no?
I am now because obviously
you are now.
Yeah, I am now. But when I came from England, I didn't know anything, nothing at all.
Okay, so regular English speaking person from Coburg. That's what you are, and with life changes, and you said your wife, you're now pretty much bilingual.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so that's even better because there's a lot of people from Ontario that listen to this podcast. Okay, and what I'm trying to picture here, I'm trying to paint a picture here of what it was like for an English guy to go to that league. Now, first of all, I want to explain. Now, I've had Ryan Hand on the show. I've had Morasti on the show. I've had Sugden on the show. I've had guys that have played there, right?
Yeah.
But Jay, like, I'm trying to get people to understand how big of a deal this was when it came to money and possessions, and that was then and now is now.
Yeah.
At that time, there was some organized crime involved with the teams. There was the bikers were involved. We can talk about it because it doesn't happen anymore, but we can talk about it because we experienced it and we went through it.
Yeah.
So for me, Jay, it was like, dude, when I came to that league, like when I met you, it was like almost like a movie. It was like a high stakes, all in movie, man, where it wasn't normal compared to life that I was used to, just with the culture, with the fact that we were treated like kings as far as money that they were paying us. But it was like so cutthroat, man, kind of, you know what I mean? And like, you had to have really thick skin to survive in that league, especially being a guy from Ontario.
Well, like I said, I went to the Verdun Dragons, which was probably, Verdun and Laval was just, it would put Slapshot to shame. Like, it was like, in Verdun, you had Joel Theriault, you had Steve Bossy, you had Mark Tardif, you had Desormeaux, myself, it was like 5 or 6 guys. And then you go into Laval, and then you got Pat Cote. You got other guys like, you're like, what? Like Pat
Cote, all of them.
Pat Cote was the scariest man I've ever seen on the ice. Like my first game, it was in Laval, and Bobby, what's his name? The coach, the general manager of Laval, Bobby Burger. He pulled his goalie. The referee dropped the puck, and they had their fight. They had Razanzov on they had Cote, Bajurny, Rabi, and another guy. They pulled the goalie, and here comes another fighter.
No way.
Yeah, this is my first game. So they have 6. I'm on the ice. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, there's Terrio, Bossy, and all that. And they wanted Mark Tardif, the guy on our team. I don't know why, but they hated Mark Tardif. So the guy that came out for the goal, he went right after him. So it was like we couldn't help him. It was 6-on-5, and then a big brawl started. But you're right. When like the games in Verdun at the time, like people were hanging off the rafters. Like it was like jammed. Like you couldn't get a ticket to get into these games. Like we had the magazine come my first year. I forget the name of it. JD, a big magazine like Maxim and all that. They came in on a road trip.
The Summons.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
They did a story on us, and they're like, we can't believe what you guys go through. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, in that time they had Pont Rouge. We had Mike Bro and those guys. So we'd play in Verdun on a Friday night, and you'd fight, there's Pat Cote, and like the list goes on. Then you go to Pont Rouge, and then you have another 6 or 7 guys. Then you'll go to play in Sherbrooke. There's another 6 or 7 guys. Like, it was the hardest on my body playing in those years in Verdun and Tetford and Radio X. It took a toll. It was, like I said, it wasn't normal for what we did.
So I'm just going to add a couple things to that. So now, because I'm trying, like, that was an incredible description. So now the listeners are listening to this and they're like, wow. So let's add to that. So now, not only is the arena sold out, but there's guys that, I mean, it's beer that they're drinking, but they're so liquored up. They get so liquored up but before the first period even starts, because in warm-up, they'll be yelling and chirping and, hey, Clarke, right? So then there's that going on, okay? Then there's the show. Yeah. So for us, a big part of our, I mean, you was a little bit different from me because you were a very good player in that league too, where I was used, I mean, other than the first year, I was used like just as a fighter kind of, right? You were an extremely good player, so you played too, but you still, like, I'm sure you made some really good paychecks in some of those years, bro, because you were doing a point per game, plus you were fighting the big boys, right? Yeah, so I couldn't imagine.
The years in my first year in Verdun and my 2 years in Tetford were ridiculous what I was making. Like, I was getting my housing paid year round, plus a good lump sum of money, and they asked me when I got there, do you want to get a job? I'm like, sure, I don't do nothing during the day. So they got me a job down on Crescent Street at one of the bars. So I would play in the game.
Way.
Yeah, I was working on Crescent Street. So I would play the game, and I'd go to work till 3 a.m, and I'd make more money, and then go home and sleep all day, play Saturday. Then whenever I didn't play, I could go work. It was just an incredible time in Montreal. Yeah.
And for the listeners that aren't familiar with Montreal, Crescent Street is like the most posh, nice nightclub spot. It's a strip of all nice clubs and restaurants.
Yeah, I worked at Churchill's right on the corner of Maisonneuve and right there on Maisonneuve and Crescent. So I was right in the middle of and when F1 came, they were just retarded. And New Year's, like, it was like we were getting tips $400 or $500 a night, working there. And it was like there was like 20 bouncers there. There was 3 levels. And like I said, I would physically play a game, take my shower, put my black stuff on because we all wore black jeans and the long black leather coat and the black gloves, and I drive my car, park behind the bar, and go work at the door till 3 a.m.
So now, okay, so Clarke, but this is what I'm talking about. Like, was that not like a movie? Being in a movie, dude? You're working on Crescent Street, downtown Montreal, playing in the Quebec League, making the money that you were making. Like, dude, that's incredible, man.
Well, it was like my second year in Verdun is when the NHL locked out. So we played we played I think it was 10 games at the Bell Center, and we played against Laval. And what do you think? There was I think there was our first game against Laval. There was 10,000 people. My brother and my dad drove down to the Bell Center, and there was 10,000 people at the Bell Center, us playing Laval. And it was like, wow, okay. Then I think on the Friday, then the next week after, it was Donald Brashear coming to play us at Montreal. So everyone's coming to see him fight, but Donald didn't want to fight a lot. Like, he didn't want to fight Terrio. He didn't want to fight the big names in case he lost, which I understand. He had a lot to lose. You know what I mean? If he's still under contract in the NHL, if he loses to Joel Terrio or someone else, it doesn't look good for him. So I understood why he didn't. But then it was funny. We went to the Colisée 3 weeks later, and my owner came in and said, I'll give $500 to whoever fights Donald Brashear. Perfect. I'll fight him. I don't care. So, it sold out at the Coliseum back then in Quebec. Obviously, with the Radio X, they had Blouin was playing there. Fichot was the goalie. I think they had like a $500,000 pay.
Yeah, payroll.
So I was chasing Brashear around, and he says, "I'm not fighting." And I two-hand him in the back of the legs, and I said, "Fight me now." So he took and he fought me, and I've never been hit so hard in my life. You know what I mean? Like I had a Fred Flintstone lump in my head for probably a week or two afterwards. Like I was seeing, like he's a big, strong man, just like large, like to see a guy in his prime. Like Donald was in his prime in '93 when we played him. Like in the 2000, he was still a big fighter he was a heavyweight in the show. And he came at me with his arms like this, not even like one in front of the other. It was like those old punching games. And it was just like, okay, I know you're a lefty, but I know you're going to throw something. And he went to throw it at me. He caught me, and I just tried to hold on to him. And he was so strong. And I threw a couple punches, and then we went down. But it was like people were going nuts. I went to the bar afterwards on Grand Allée in Quebec, and everyone's, "Oh my God, you fought Donald Brashear!" Da, 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 da. I'm like, I don't know if I really fought him, but whatever. I'll take it.
Well, dude. Okay, so this is the other thing. Not only was he a powerhouse, but he was also like a novelty in the province of Quebec, bro.
Oh yeah,
because
he's royalty. Yeah,
that's an even better word to describe. Yeah. This is a guy that wasn't Donald adopted and then just started dominating hockey, and he was the guy from Quebec City, and all the people from Le Capitale could be proud because Donald will beat anybody, and he was like the pride of Quebec City, bro.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
Like I said, when he had a chance to come back and play for the Radio Wax and make I think he was making $80,000 playing there.
On paper.
On paper, yeah. Then you had Eric Fichot, played for the Islanders, Montreal Canadiens too, playing goalie. Sylvain Blin was playing for Minnesota and came in, and then you had the Matthew Biron and his brother in Tampa and Thetford Mines. Yeah. And Caron, the goalie, was in Saguenay. Like there was a lot of NHL players that were coming. Like we didn't have any in Verdun. Other teams brought these guys in, and it was like, fuck, we're lining up against guys that were playing in the NHL last year on TV. Like here we are, like it was so much like you said, the money was retarded. Like it was just, like I said, you could write a book. Like there should be a movie. I know they did a film on the Chiefs, the guys living in the building and stuff like that. But there should be a movie on what guys went through, and it would be a top seller. Like it'd be like the Netflix with AJ and them, like the things that you went through, I went through, and Terriel's gone through, Sugden's gone through, Marassi's gone through, and what they're doing now. Like it would be a great documentary.
I'll tell you. Sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
No, like I said, we're a forgotten breed. Like you said, you go to an East Coast League game, you go to a game now in the American. There's no fights. No. You go to I go to Quebec game here in Quebec City with my son. Like they don't even hit anybody. It's like it's
what, the Ramparts?
Yeah, the Ramparts. Yeah, like they're
okay.
Patrick Waz, the coach and GM.
Yeah.
He's more exciting. He's more exciting to watch than the team is, because he throws stuff, he slams the door, he's yelling at the ref. He's got emotion. It's like it's that part of the game that's gone since you played in the O, I played in the O, and those days you can't even hit anybody now. Like it's not even hockey. And like I said, it's been a while since we watched a game there, but the last game I took my son, I wanted to leave in the second period. Like I was like, why did I pay $20 to come watch us? Like it was like a ringette game. They were like stick checking, and that was a check to them. Like a stick check was like, not when Sean McMorrow would run through someone at the blue line and their helmet would go off and guys will land on their ass. Like that is no more. Like that's like hockey's gone down so much since we played, and I'm a big advocate of. I think that's why the game is where it's at now, with people getting hurt, is because there's no accountability. I think that's where taking the fighting out of the game, and you're getting 5 minutes for this and 5 minutes for hitting, and it's hurt the game, and I think it's hurting players. I think the accountability is so much. There's none. Anyone can do what you want, and like look at the Dell guy hitting the guy in Ottawa. They're the goalie. Like if you did that in our time, like that goalie would be done.
The Buffalo Sabre goalie hitting the Ottawa guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you do that in our, like, are you kidding me? Like you would get it, like in any league. But now you see the goalies out running people because there's no accountability. They're not. No one's going to do nothing to them.
Well, you see the Ottawa head coach DJ Smith.
Yeah.
Right. He's from our era. Do you see how frustrated he was in the post-game interview? Because he's probably thinking, dude, if I was on the ice, I would have taken that goalie's head off.
Well,
or grabbed the best player and took his head off.
See, I was talking to Lee from Wingman today. He says, what would have happened in your era? I said, what would have happened in my era? It would have been a bench-clearing brawl. Is what would have happened. Like, it would have been game on. That goalie would have been hurt bad. Like, it would have been. And I said, now we checked the schedule, and they play 3 more times, Ottawa versus Buffalo. And, like, nothing's going to happen to them. Like, in our time, like, you would get run. Like, someone would literally run from the red line to hit that goalie or the blue line or go in front and throw an elbow. Like, Dell has no accountability and no worries because he knows if you touch me, you're going to get suspended or you're going to lose money. So, come and hit me. Like, there's no accountability.
Yeah, and then gone are the days that next game of Buffalo and Ottawa, both teams call up their AHL tough guy to add some beef to the lineup because it's a highly touted rough game that's going to happen. No, there's no excitement.
Well, it's like when Ray Emery fought Grattan when Buffalo and there was hey, I owned up to something. Emery wanted to fight. Let's go. Let's fight. That's a prime example of what accountability. Ray wanted to do. Hey, let's go. And he took on Grattan or the McGrattan, the big heavyweight. You know what I mean? At the time, Buffalo and Ottawa. See, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's like that's accountability. Like he was like, you know what? Those guys are gone. Like me and you are gone. Sugdens are gone. The Morassis are gone. Like you can't go to an American League game and go and say, who's my guy I'm going to watch fight? Because back in the days when you were playing the American League and Sugden, Morassi, and Bialowas, and the guys that were playing there. You seen these jerseys of a Bialowas, of a McMorrow, wherever it was, they had their guy. But who is it now? It's goal scorers. It's their, it's their best player. Those days are gone and I spoke to AJ about
the fan favorite. Yeah.
There's the fan favorite now is the goal scorer because there's no one else. Like back in our time, like Todd Simon was our leading scorer. He had 140 points in Niagara. No one had his jersey. They had Jason Clarke jerseys. They had Dennis Maxwell jerseys. Guys that were fighting. You know what I mean? We were the guys that they come to see. They didn't care about scoring goals. It was like when we were in Verdun and they don't care about. It's like when you go to a hockey game in Quebec when we played, you say, who scored the second goal of the game? Don't know. Who had the third fight in the game? They tell you right away who it was. You know what I mean? And everyone had the Clarke jerseys, the Theriault jerseys, the Bossy jerseys in that league. And that's, and this is where I'm glad it's coming out with the IceWars with AJ. They're bringing a spotlight to the guys that are gone. You know what I mean? And, like we did a job for these owners that, East Coast League, we didn't get any money off our jerseys that were sold. We didn't get nothing. No. My first pay in the East Coast League in Roanoke was $275. Yeah. My apartment paid. That was it. But they were selling my jerseys left and right. They're selling my T-shirts. I was doing signings. I was doing this and that. Yeah. I never got 1 cent from it. You know what I mean? And they took advantage. Well, yeah, the owners took advantage of guys like myself and you and guys that were bringing 10,000 people and lining their pockets. And now with AJ, he wants to put, it sucks for us because we can't do the job that they want us to do in IceWars. But, they're bringing it back to people that do that job now. And I said to him, it's the toughest job you could ever have. Like people ask me, why did you do it so long? And and like I said, the first 5 or 6 years, I hated it, but I wanted to play hockey because I seen my mom worked at Kraft General Foods for 50 years. My dad worked at Davison Rubber and Port Open a factory. I see how hard they work for making not even half of what I was making. So, I'm thinking I'm fortunate enough to play a game where I can make a living and see the world. Go to Anchorage, go to England, I didn't know at the time when I was, 5 or 6 years out of junior that I would do stuff. Did I think I would play, 20 years later? Not at all. I thought I'd be back home in Cobourg working in a factory because that's what you do in Cobourg. We have Justin Williams, who's from Cobourg, obviously. Steve Smith is from Cobourg, guys that played in the NHL. But guys that have gone away to play in the OHL that didn't make it, they're back working it, in Oshawa at Ford. They're back working in the factory in Cobourg. And that's what you do when you leave small towns. You come back when you're playing days of career. But I just came back in the summertime and I played roller hockey most of the summer times too. So I just, what I mean? I was fortunate enough to, play roller hockey in the summer than ice hockey in the winter.
Yeah, dude. And I don't know if you're psychic, Clarky, or what's going on, but roller hockey.
Oh, yeah.
4 seasons, correct?
Yep.
4 professional seasons.
That's right.
Okay. And these were all from 94 to 97. So 94, 95, 96, and 97.
Yeah.
You played for Philadelphia for 2 years, Long Island, and Sacramento. Dude, how cool is that, man? Were the teams all over the States?
We played in all the NHL buildings. We played in Long Island. When I was in Long Island, we played the Spectrum. Back in the day, it was the Spectrum. We played in Philadelphia. Out in Sacramento, we played Arco Arena. And we flew all the games. Mac, it was like you're a pro. Like you were in the show. It was called the RHI back then, the Roller Hockey International. And we would, we come to the rink and your stuff would be laid out. You played we played the LA Forum. We played in Montreal, played in Ottawa. Like when I played in, when I played in Philadelphia, we played New York, we played Tampa, New Jersey, a team in Connecticut and Pittsburgh. But we would play in the NHL arenas. Like we would be like right there. Like it was larger than life. Like I said, like I would finish my ice hockey and literally 2 weeks be down in Philadelphia getting ready for the season for roller hockey. Like I said, you played at this old Spectrum, so you're rollerblading around the Spectrum or Long Island and down in Tampa, and we flew everywhere. It was always the day before and the day after. So you got per diem on there. You stayed at all the nice hotels. You played it all. It was all the NHL. You played in St. Louis. All the NHL.
And dude, so this is roller hockey with roller blades. So it's not like the old-fashioned ball hockey. This is roller hockey. Now, at this time, was there contact at this time?
Oh yeah, there was contacts. There was fighting. It was like it was like a hockey. But like I said, we had the old sport court tiles, and you could slide on it and stop. But most of the times, you just run over people. Like it was just like it was hell on wheels. Like it was no stopping. You're going and the puck movement was a lot faster. It was a little plastic puck you played with, and like I said, it was a big change. And like I said, the first year I played in Philly, they called me down. I'm like, I don't even think I can rollerblade. So they give you, they give you brand new rollerblades, and they change your wheels after a period. Like you're sharpening your skates, they'll change your wheels, and the wheels wear down, so they change your wheels, and away you go. And it was phenomenal. Like it was everyone was on the same. I think you made $375 a game. But they paid your apartment. Like I was living in Sacramento, just off the beach. Like, and we go down and play Los Angeles. We played San Diego, St. Louis, Colorado, and like you flew everywhere. Like I said, it was the day before you get on the plane. And the best thing I think when I played in Sacramento, I had the chance to play with Manon Rhéaume. And
really,
she was our goalie, and what a nice girl, nice, down to earth. And she was with Jerry St. Cyr at the time. And that's when she started her own roller hockey with Reebok and her own line. And she actually owned a rink in Sacramento with Jerry. And like she was larger than life. That was the time right after Tampa where she had, playing ice hockey still in Charlotte.
Yep.
And she was our goalie in Sacramento. And like she was phenomenal, like a great person, great gal to talk to. And like she made sure everyone had an autograph after the games and things of that nature. And it was, because roller hockey at the time, they were trying to promote it like the NHL, but of the summertime. So they wanted stars like Manon to come in and do that. And she would, like I said, she'd be the first one off the ice signing autographs, or off the court, signing autographs, jersey, this and that, and it helped grow the game.
So yeah, man, she's a legend. I mean, I always say her name different every time I say it. Madame Rhéaume. The first female to play in the National Hockey League, goaltender for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think it was it 91, 92? Something like that?
It would have been 90. Yeah, it would have been with Phil Esposito. Esposito got her in there.
Yeah, dude. GM. Yeah, bro, that's pretty impressive. So I had to ask about the roller hockey, bro, because I'm like, this guy played 4 years professional roller hockey for the cities like Philly and New York and Sacramento. I'm like, wow. Oh. So this is we have to get into this too, because it's so unique that when I tell people, Jay, about like our boxing experience when we played in Quebec, when I tell people, like at first they think I'm just kind of joking around, right? And then they think that it's some kind of like, basement fight club type stuff. And I'm like, no. When I played in the semi-pro league in Quebec, what they would do is they would promote a fight gala, boxing gala, and there'd be like 5 or 6, pro or amateur boxing matches, and then there'd be 5 or 6 hockey player versus hockey player, well known in the league, facing off against each other.
That's right.
Now, how many years did you do this?
I did it I think I did it for 5 years.
So you did it 5 summers. You did it
5 summers. I did it. Yeah.
Okay, so now my reasons for doing it, I'll be honest, I'm a big fan of boxing, always been a Muhammad Ali guy, always wanted to try to see how I could do in the ring. So the competitor in me wanted it, but when they offer you X amount of dollars to do 3 2-minute rounds or whatever it was, 6 minutes, you know, to fight a guy that you fought 10 times this year on the ice. Yeah, you're going to do it. It's the summer. We're not getting paid our salaries, our hockey salaries anymore. So that was why I did it. Was it the same for you?
Same thing for me. Like they're throwing, you know, like you said, 2,500, $5 grand, $3 grand to do a fighting. Like when I got traded to Thetford, they had me fight a local guy. It wasn't a hockey player. They wanted me to, you know, promote Thetford. I got $5,000 cash for fighting in a boxing for 6 minutes. You know what I mean? And like I said, and that's when the names like Joel Terrio and all those guys were, you know, obviously we'll get to that, obviously with you fighting them, and the names that were bringing, like it was sold out, you know, Riviere de Loup, Jean Pierre, Trois Rivière, wherever we fought, Galerie de Capitale in Quebec. You know, you go to these boxing, like we're fighting in the middle of a mall. You know, like people realize like in the Galerie de Capitale in Quebec is a mall. And there we are, we're fighting. And like I fought 3 times there, fought in Riviere de Loup and things of that nature, and Jean Pierre. And like I said, it was 100% for the money. I didn't know how to box. They said to me, you know, go get some boxing shoes and get some boxing and go train at the gym. I went with Joel Terrio, and Joel helped me because, you know, Joel is obviously a great fighter on and off the ice with his boxing, and he had a pro debut in boxing. And, you know, he said, you know, Clarke, just, you know, we got to run in the morning. He'd come get me in the morning running. And like, I was never like I said, boxing was never an interest to me. And I knew the guys were, but when they started throwing that money around, I'm like, okay, yeah, I like boxing now. Like, why not? Let's try it. Like, you know, my first one was in Quebec City. I fought an MMA guy, and I got knocked out in the first. I think it was like 24 seconds, but I still got my money. Like the guy
win or lose.
Yeah, the guy shit kicked me, and like everyone say, oh, it's his first fight, and they come to find out this guy's been an MMA guy in Quebec for like 6 years, boxing and kickboxing.
No way.
And here I am coming in with my Nike shorts on and my blue thing, and he's coming in with, you know, sponsors on his shorts.
Official.
Yeah, I'm like, this guy's got sponsors on his shorts. Like, how did he do that? So I'm like across the ring, and he comes, and he's a lefty, and I'm like, so Joel just told me, oh no, keep your hands up and do all this stuff and move. And so I'm trying to move, and he's just clocking me. And like, he hit me once in the stomach. I thought my lungs were going to come through my back. I was like, and then my guy said, okay, that's enough. And after I get the fight, I said, who is this guy? And they said, oh, he was an MMA guy for 6 years. I'm like, my God, it's the first time I'm inside a ring, and you're throwing me into an MMA guy. Guy goes, here's your money. Have a good night. So that was it. You know, I mean, it was like you said, that was a good part about it. You win or lose, they gave you your money.
Yeah, and it was all cash too,
100%,
in an envelope.
Yeah.
Just like you know, up until a certain point, how the paychecks were in the league.
Yeah.
So Jay, like honestly, buddy, like I right now, while you're under the pressure in the hot seat, I got to ask you for a part 2 already, because for most of my guys, I can't even cover everything in one episode. So what do you say about a part 2, buddy?
I'm ready to start 2, 3, and 4, man.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to hear. But I'm not quite done yet. Before we go, I want you to talk a little bit, because I know you're a family guy now, and you have a lot of responsibilities. I just want to find out for the listeners and all your fans and followers what you got going on right now, bro, and how your family's doing.
You know what? I'm happy to say I haven't had a drink in probably 11 or 12 years. I've been sober.
You haven't had a drink in 12 years?
Yeah,
Jason, that's it, buddy.
You know, playing in the league in North America, what we did, we were going down a lot of guys going down not the straight path, you know what I mean? And I was on that, you know, like you said, living like a rock star in Montreal and partying up, working at a bar, and, you know, the dancers and all this stuff that we went through. And you know, like, you know, I was going down a path that wasn't good for me in Montreal. And it continued when I got traded to Thetford. In Thetford, I was living in Quebec City. So, you know, fortunate enough that I met my wife, girlfriend right now. And we have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old son, Jordan, and a 6-year-old daughter, Olivia. And,
congratulations,
you know,
buddy.
it's changed. I'm a family man now. Like, I don't even think about fighting now. And people ask me, do you ever get the itch to play? And I'm like, not at all. Like, I take joy. I see my son play, my daughter go to gymnastics and things of that nature. Like, like I said, like my body right now is catching up to what we put ourselves through. You know what I mean? Like people don't, like that's a whole nother episode of what we put our bodies through, from bus rides to the fights to the stuff that we got. And like I said, I've changed a lot, and I think I've changed for the better. Like I said, I'm family first now for everything. You know, my kids and my wife for everything. And like I said, I have a very good relationship with my brother and his family now in Coburg. Like I said, and like I said, it's come full circle. And I think it's really because of the drinking I did before I was a heavy boozer and things of that nature. And like. I'm happy to say I just quit one day. I think I woke up one day and I dropped $600. Why did I do that? And I just clicked into me like I could do so much more with my time. And obviously meeting my wife and having kids and things of that nature puts things into perspective. Where we're a single guy, and like I said, playing the League North American, you're living like a rock star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, so now that I'm living near Quebec City, and I'm doing some work with Wingman Sports, and obviously meeting Lee Umansky there has helped me out a tremendous lot. Just helping them out, sending them, like most of the people we played with are now GMs, coaches, owners, and I just give the name to Wingman and they do the rest of the stuff. So, it's taken my mind off of things where, before, like sometimes I have headaches, sometimes I have loss of memory and things that are catching up to me. And, lucky that I have a support here I go to Quebec here to a therapy when I'm having trouble with, my memory loss and my things and headaches and irritability and things of that goes with concussions. And again, that'll be for another segment with you, but I'm a big guy on that now, where we need to take care of ourselves. And, I'm 49 years old now. I'm not, where I'm young anymore. And like I said, family is so important to me now, whereas before it was not even an issue. So I take my hat off to whoever shined the light on me and, let me live out what, now it's my dream, raising my kids, being with they're my heroes. They're everything to me. My brother and his kid and his wife they're everything to me. Like I had my time where I was the spotlight. Everyone came to see me, but now I go to see everyone. You know what I mean? I love the family is so important. It's like I said, you don't realize it when we're playing because we're always on the road. We're doing this and that, and you miss out on things. And now, like I said, I haven't done anything like that for 12 years. And my son, I go see the games, and it brings joy to me now. You know what I mean? It's like my life has come full circle for sure.
Brother, that's so good to hear. It's so good to hear. Now, listen, here's my last question for you.
Yep.
How good is your français maintenant?
Bien. J'ai mon conjoint, c'est un français, so elle parle pas anglais pantoute. So, so it's my son's completely bilingual, which is incredible. Like he's 9 and he's completely, he'll talk to my dad and brother in Coburg, and he'll switch from English to French just like that.
Without even knowing it, or?
Not even knowing. And like the school he goes to, they have English classes like 1 or 2 times a week. And he's better than the teacher. So, you know what I mean? He helps the teacher out in English. And, my daughter's starting to speak English now, but my son is 9 and he's incredible. Like he's way better than I am for sure. And like I said, he's a good kid. Yeah.
Jason Clarke, man, that man, honestly, like you could see, I don't know if you could tell, but I'm kind of like on the edge of my seat. There he is. What's going on, brother?
Great.
The legend's son. Hey, what's your name, buddy?
Jordan.
What a name, eh? Good job, Jay.
That's it, man. Yeah, that's my man. This is my buddy.
Hey, Jordan, your father is a legend, man. This guy was he's probably still is, but he was such a good hockey player. He was so tough. One of the biggest characters I've ever met, man. Be very proud of your dad. He's a very, very good guy. There you go, Mike. Thanks for coming on, brother. YouTube. Actually, hey, you can stay if you like. Hey, this is awesome. This is a family show.
He just said, I see all his fights on YouTube.
Oh, you watch his fights on YouTube, Jordan? Yeah, man. Your dad's a tough one, man. I'm telling you. He helped me out a bunch of times. I was going to tell the story earlier, but your father, my first boxing match, he let me use his boxing shoes. I had no shoes, man. I was a rookie. He's like, hey, man, do you want to borrow my shoes? I think they'll fit you. I'm like, yeah, man, that'd be awesome. They fit perfect. I won my match against Chris Cloutier because of your father.
There he goes.
So, yeah, dude, I mean, this is great that your son came on, brother. I'm looking forward to the part 2. This is so great that family's here, so we're going to end it on a good note. And I want to thank the listeners for tuning in to another episode of The Sheriff featuring special guest, all-time penalty minute leader, Jason Clarke, with some skill to go with it.
That's it.
We'll see you next time, guys. Woo!